Hello everyone and welcome to Masters of Command, which just launched into full release and it is already my game of the year. I played it a lot in the preview builds and I absolutely have a fantastic time of it, and I think you guys will have as well. But there are a couple of things that make it easier to play the game, and I'm not going to talk about army compositions in this guide video or which nation to play and how to break the game there, because I think you can have fun with any army composition. The balance between the army compositions and how you can make them work is pretty solid. A couple ones are more difficult, sure, but that's also fun. So we're gonna focus about base core mechanics that you want to do right to make your runs easier. And we're gonna start on the campaign map at the beginning of the game when you have a relatively small army in Act 1. But even in Act 2, I saw a lot of people talking about how they feel like they're often outnumbered by these kind of armies here, for example, and how they run away. And actually, what you want to do is hunting them down and beating them. Because even though they now have more units, they have artillery, we don't, for example, they will be lower quality. Even after the first fight, once you go to a town and buy stuff, these are all base recruits. Your units might be recruits as well, but after two small battles here, I already have good muskets on all of these guys. So I will win this handily. And these units, these small armies on the other side, they aren't scary actually, and they are supposed to be hunted down by you and beaten by you because they are your way to get experience and money and upgrade your army with that. So you need to beat them. And yeah, let's jump to the end of the battle and show you how little casualties you can take here. So in the end, we come out with 669 losses here, and I just really charged into them. I didn't play this any tricky or anything, and you get out a lot of good equipments already, and you also then can get even more out of it by getting more reservists than we even took losses here, plus the casualty reduction making this even smaller, more provisions and veterancy, which is the one that we go here for, and then get your units leveled up and get better so that you can fight the bigger armies and grind your way up in the run. You are under time pressure, so you need to get as much value out of the first act as possible, especially the first act. It's all about building up, so take all the fights you can, basically. Especially without difficulty modifiers, you want to take every single fight you can, because replenishment goes pretty quickly with base units as well. That brings us to the next. And that next thing is never buy anything on basic quality. Because as you can see, after 3 fights here, and even after selling a bit of stuff already, we have a full inventory with basic stuff. You get basic rifles quite a lot, and so if you go and, for example, you want to buy something here, some tea or so, never go for the basics. Always go for good stuff. You will be able to fill the base slots of your units with decent enough items, with the base items a lot, and it's all about stacking modifiers on top. So go for the good items here, like good champignons. Also, if you want to buy something, go for high quality. If you want to get your cavalry up, go for the couple of good items here around. Never buy the base ones, outside of a few exceptions. If you really have a lot of cavalry already and you feel like you won't get enough horses otherwise, maybe go for some base horses, because horses are a big difference, and maybe go for some starting guns, but even then you usually catch some, and then the bronze ones here, the good quality guns, aren't that much more expensive, so rather save up and go for that, and save on your money, because the base slots you will be able to fill with what you get from the fights. And the next tip is about the focus you should have in battles. And the focus you should have in battles is not getting killed. It's about breaking the enemy morale on one unit by unit level. Here we are in a fight where it's equal forces. Like, we have 4 units on the front line. One is cavalry, they have 4 infantry units. We both have an artillery unit. So enemy stays defensively here. The artillery is actually a better one than ours. The Austrian field artillery here being actually pretty good artillery piece already. But we gonna start going into the normal frontline fight. Like, this is how usually the battles first start up. Both sides get into a line, both sides line up and just start shooting, and that's the grind that you kind of want to get out of. And that's what cavalry and artillery especially are for. Focusing specific units, and we're gonna change that focus here now onto the right flank, and starting to create breakthrough moments for your forces, and starting to make it a numbers game where you are in the advantage, because often you start at the disadvantage, but your units can hold out quite a bit of fire. You usually have better morale than most enemy armies, especially in Act 1 and 2, but even in Act 3, when you then have a lot of modifier items, that should be the case. So, yeah, first we start here with a bit of fire, but this recruit, for example, already starts showing signs of fatigue, and that's where you want to come in and start shooting them up, and then start breaking them. And it's not just about getting them behind this notch. This is where you let them run for the first time, but it's about fully breaking them. That way around, they won't come back, because that can be pretty dangerous when you just bring units to run, and that's usually what infantry can achieve quite often with consolidated volleys, but that's where you need your artillery and cavalry to make sure that this dark blue bar, that is the amount of stress that they can recover, is behind this red notch, so that they can't recover back to the level where they can come back to fight. Because, you see, we didn't do much casualties beforehand here. This unit still has way more than 50% of its firepower, potentially. But if we break them, they can't come back at all. And if we break them, they also make other units run, as you were able to see here. So chain routes are a potential thing as well. And that is pretty helpful as well. This unit here could still come back, so we want to run them down as well. And charge them down with our cavalry. And that's now 2 out of 4 enemy frontline units taken out of the equation. Whilst our units on the frontline just traded basically 1-for-1, or even a bit worse here. But we are somehow 50% ahead now in the big picture. This unit now broken as well by gunfire. And then the fights become pretty easy. And it's just about rolling up a flank. And yeah, infantry can deal good damage, as you can see here. But the most stress damage is done by good charges in the right moment, and by using your cavalry for good flanking attacks. You can potentially do it with infantry as well if you have a lot of infantry, but usually cavalry and artillery are the two forces that want to do it the most. Now it's just about breaking this unit over here. Then we have the fight. The artillery will run easily. Next unit shattered. Now our cavalry also can start stacking up kills on the running units, because that's how you get veterancy on your units as well. Whilst our other units finishing off the last remaining enemy infantry unit. And there we go. Victory easily at hand. Even fight, but just by pressing the morale, we win handily without all that many casualties. And the next step has to do with the two before in a bit. That is stack items on your best units, because that will help you break the flank. You will get enough items for your other units on the baseline as well. Like all my units here have basically 3 items after fighting and just looting. This one not quite yet, but usually you will get enough items to fill the baselines quite fine. But the key units here are the ones that you want to have full stacked with the best items, so that you can break the enemy and take direct fights. It's crazy how low you can, for example, get the reload time, and how efficient with good accuracy, low reload time, your units can become, and just break a flank basically immediately. Same goes for cavalry. If you get good charge items and you can just charge down a complete flank because you also have enough stamina to do so, then that can be insane as well. So focus on your key units with the good items. You will have enough items for the other units to keep them just staying in line. So stack the good ones here. Stacking modifiers is what this game is all about. So use your items wisely. And the last tip is about what you want to do in the second half usually, or the last third of a run in an act, and that is trying to get as many traits for your army as possible. And the two ways to get that are forts and are the entrenched armies. So with the forts, it's the ones that you can siege where you get them. Sometimes you just run in a fort, it's abandoned, then you don't get those. But if you have a siege like this, and you then start to breach the walls, and then start to rush them down so that the defenders surrender, there you get a new doctrine, and that's what you want to get. Get a decent amount of equipment as well, but the key part is this. Getting doctrine, and you have a choice of 3, so one of them should be good for you. Here we just take the one in the middle. In the early stages, better commanders is going to be nice, and stacking as many doctrines as possible so that your army has an overall great amount of boosts is really, really essential. You usually want to get 3 to 4 per act so that you at the end have like 9 to 12 different modifiers that boost up your army. And this one here we got from a fort. We already captured a lot of other forts, but luckily didn't get any there. And these entrenched armies here are the key to get the other doctrines, and especially in the first one, they're also actually not that hard to beat. They have some higher quality units, but manpower-wise, you can see we outnumber them heavily right now. So you should be able to beat them, and you really want to get as many doctrines as possible. So finding them, they are always a bit further off the road, but sometimes you can see them from the road. So you should hunt them down. Maybe come back later when you see them really early on the campaign, but it is worth to getting them because the permanent modifiers are so strong. And with buffs like the Flying Camp, you will just continue generating more stuff later on. It sometimes takes some casualties, like I lost an officer here now, but in general, those fights are worth it. You can replace the officer, and you now have a constant 10% speed bonus that allows you hunting down armies quicker, moves around quicker, and like just save time. So, yep, those are my beginner tips. I will work on more in the future. Let me know down below what kind of tips and what kind of things helped out getting the game better going for you guys. And see you all in the next one. Bye bye, and have a great day.